Welcome to another episode of Digital Dive Media Podcast. I'm your host, Kelly, founder and CEO of Brand Method Media Group. Today we have Megan Ingram. Megan is the founder of Ingram Digital Consulting. They specialize in using data and strategy to tell bold, fun, and creative brand stories with a team of digital outlaws. Welcome, Megan.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I'd love to start off by just getting a little bit of background. How long have you worked in marketing and communications?
10 plus years.
So you're old school. Okay.
Yeah. I've been in the industry for a while. 10 years in digital marketing, and then another 6 I've been with just agencies. And that feels like it's a long time in agency life.
That's awesome. Before digital, when you were working with agencies, were you specializing in something else, traditional, or what was that like?
Yeah, so I was actually working on the brand side. So I worked for a biotech company, Thermo Fisher Scientific, and that's kind of how I got my first digital marketing start, and then pivoted into agency shortly after.
Awesome. And when did you launch your own company?
Just a few months ago.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So very, very early. Yep. I kind of had a interesting series of events in agency happen to me because of COVID. Decided to go freelance. And then the agency idea had always been in the back burner, something that I always thought about, and then had more time to think about things, through things. And yeah, it's kind of strange, one domino falls and then 5 in its place. So that's basically what happened. And yeah, now we're, 2-3 months in, and momentum's going, and yeah, it's exciting.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, everybody's trying to figure it out, man. Day to day, week to week. It's sometimes there's a pivot, sometimes there's a completely different, animal you have to tackle. So that's awesome. Congratulations. I didn't realize you had just launched your company, but that's amazing. Yeah, that's so cool. So what do you guys focus on in terms of clientele? What's your customer profile?
I wouldn't say it's like industry specific, but we're very focused on the digital analytics and digital strategy side of the house. So, our client, not so much a profile, but, I want clients to have, we talk a lot about digital outlaws and brand storytelling. I'm looking more for attributes with clients that are consistent and aligned with what we're trying to do, as opposed to like revenue or, where they are on the spectrum. We actually look at clients across between startups to mature to like what I'd consider, your very large brands. So across full scale, but looking for specific attributes that align with what the brand is essentially going for.
Absolutely. And the thing about strategy is that it's so important. It's so important and so often overlooked.
Yeah.
And it's like if you didn't have this strategy, how do you know what's going right and what's going wrong? Like, you have to have that foundation to set expectations, KPIs. I think, unfortunately, when it comes to, at least in my experience, when it comes to digital, it seems that the immediate go-to is just start posting stuff. And it's like, well, let's take a step back. Let's look at what we want to actually accomplish, because it can be a great resource to support your business growth, but not if you don't have strategy and not if you're not measuring.
Agreed. And the other thing that often happens with agencies is that you get put in a position where you're accountable to things that you didn't set up. So, as an agency, if you have the opportunity to come in there and set the strategy, and then you can start talking about all the execution things, then you're in a much better place to also succeed. And, then you can start, like you said, measuring and doing all those great things. But it starts with having one cohesive vision, strategy, plan in place, and then sort of
it grows from there. Yes.
It grows down from there. Exactly.
But we can't start posting on Facebook and expecting miracles, okay? Without some sort of foundation, right? Absolutely. So with everything going on from COVID and everybody having to pivot, what do you think marketing looks like in 18 to 24 months? What does that look like to you?
Well, I think to start, the thing I always talk about is, right now more than anything, it's be flexible, be agile, right? Because it changes. It's like trying to create a quarterly calendar seems like the most insane task right now. And so I think whatever our normal looks like, given all the various elements in play in the, the political and otherwise environment, that it's going to start with making sure that your brand's flexible and agile. And I think the players may change. You see it with TikTok and some of these others that, that roll out. There might be, for example, the one thing that I'm looking to is like a Twitch or a gaming. Is that going to change in the social sphere? Because that could be something that happens in the next 12 to 18 months that we may not see coming. But I think it's just adapting and moving at a fast pace and being able to make decisions quickly, because that's social in a nutshell.
Yeah, I was just, I think, telling a previous guest how I think where a lot of the friction comes from is that, your C-level executives want all of the marketing, including digital, to fit into this nice, neat 90-day little package.
Yeah.
And, it just doesn't work that way. You're going to have new features come out, new things. Clubhouse is coming. We're starting to try to learn about that. And if that's going to be viable. TikTok. So agility is important. You can't get stuck in, well, this is the only thing I want to do. Well, what will support the goals? Is it trying a new platforms? Then we should do that if it makes sense. But agility is key, because they're not very static. Like, things are always changing.
Exactly. Because you could have look at the situation with COVID. No one even a month before that would have predicted that was going to happen. So then you're always in a place where, you have to react to what's happening in the moment. I think that's the most important thing in social generally, is to really kind of listen to your audience, listen to what they're saying, and then make a decision about what the best course of action is. And that's going to be the most pivotal thing, regardless of what the circumstances are that are surrounding it. And those are likely to change, as they always do. Yeah.
That's just the nature of it. But, if you have a good team and you have a solid strategy, then you can pivot, even if it doesn't fit nice and neat into what you want, you can still figure it out. So considering you are pretty much an OG, like I'm an OG, let's talk let's talk a little bit about, what do you think the future marketing leaders, how can they be successful? There seems to be still a bit of a disconnect between what they're learning in a 4-year program, and then when they come out, they're kind of like, whoa, I remember watching over the course of my career, the fusion between traditional publicists having to learn digital skills and being at a loss, and also traditional marketers having to learn some sort of digital skills and being like, well, this isn't really what I signed up for, but it's seeping into other ways. So, how do you think communication professionals, if they didn't strictly go full force into digital, how can they prepare to be successful?
That's a great point. I actually went to grad school, and it was one of the things I used to harp on, is that I didn't think, and as an analyst, even more so, because so much of what you do is in the platform, right?
Yep.
And I don't think graduate programs, they focus on certain things, but I don't think they do enough to prepare people. But I think the number one thing you can do is, pay attention to, to what's the surroundings, the trends, what you're seeing, and try to prepare yourself as much as you can by, just digging in and getting, for example, a lot of how I learned was just hands-on. It was getting into the platforms, getting into the tools, playing around in those
types of,
mm-hmm. Like from an analyst standpoint, Tableau, for example, is a very popular dashboard tool. Mm-hmm. They have a public version of that you could use for people who are trying to get into the biz, and that can really help you to play around and test and use some of those analytic skills and build some of that up, so that when you get an opportunity to work whatever that next role is going to be, whether you have some experience or not any at all, that you have some skills and you can kind of show your work that way. So there's things like that you should be doing that can help prepare you more. But again, hands-on training's the best learner. And
it's accessible, right? You have to want it. You have to be a bit of a self-starter. Don't wait for someone to tell you what you need to maybe get certified in or trained in. You should seek out things, and it's all accessible, and it's not expensive or hard to do. You just have to seek it out.
I think that's even more important in a remote work from anywhere type environment, because you don't have a boss or a mentor or someone that's breathing down your throat and saying, dude, XXX. So you kind of have to be, I think if you want to get into the digital world, you almost have to have that sort of, that sort of mindset in order to be successful in any case.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are you consuming to keep your skills sharp? Are there thought leaders you follow, podcasts you listen to, certain things you read all the time? What are you consuming?
Yeah, I think marketing Twitter is very awesome. And I think I love like just reading and like you said, listening to podcasts. I love Twitter chats. There's a lot of great Twitter chats out there. Twitter Smarter's one. I'm very in tune with the freelance community, and they have some, and that's a great way not only to like learn what other thought leaders are saying and thinking, but also connect with them and be able to do it in an informal way and build conversations. And you'd be surprised like how willing, even for young people who are like maybe junior level that starting out, how willing people will be to talk with you, engage with you, help you out, like give you places to go to build information. And then just consuming news, social, Google alerts, podcasts, like doing all those things. Cause I always love to see what people are reading, doing, coming up with. I'm a trend geek. I love reading all that kind of stuff. So that's, it's great to see all the other things that people are doing out there.
Yeah, to your point, in terms of accessibility is at an all-time high right now. I was listening to an interview he was a basketball player. He's retired now, and he's pivoted into online training and building a brand that way. But I think the interviewer asked him a question about advice, and he said, you have a window right now where so many people are more accessible than ever before. They're either at home, they're not working probably the same strict schedule they were working. They're on their phones a lot more. They're on social platforms a lot more. So if you're looking to connect with somebody or to engage with somebody, in particular, like a short list of people, thought leaders, now is a really good time to get in there because people are super duper accessible. People aren't traveling as much. You just have a lot more attention there. So I think that's a really good point, because especially if you're in communications, you should be going all in on getting in there, playing around, touching base with people. And like you said, you'll be surprised who's willing to help you.
Yeah, even as something as easy as just like responding to someone's tweet. Like, you'd be surprised like how many conversations or like what comes out or flows from that. That's just in all, like I've gotten sales opportunities from that kind of stuff. So I mean, it can lead to a lot of different things. So I think the important thing is just to like put yourself in situations where you're engaging with the right people, talking to the people that you want to talk to, and take it from there. I think, people are willing, like you said, to reach out and
everything is much more flexible, a little more lax. We're not all so in our 9-to-5 little rigid.
And I think you're also seeing that with like what podcasts have come up, like how many are out there in the scene, how many people are opening their emails, like the open rates they say are higher. And that's just showing you the amount of time people kind of have to be spending more in the digital world. And as a result, you're seeing even some of the other, channels or ways outside of just social media be popular in new reality.
Absolutely. Now, what's coming up next for you? What do you have going on? What's coming up next for the company? Tell me all about it.
Well, we're going to be launching a podcast next year. So that's sort of where that's what I'm actually planning for right now. So it's actually going to be off the tagline, Your Brand, Your Story. And so it will be like basically interviewing different people. Now we're very focused too on the freelance side of the business. So it's going to be not only like agency leaders and brand leaders and entrepreneurs, but also like freelancers and getting people's perspectives about the digital landscape and what really drives them to succeed, what's their backgrounds like, and just using that as an entry point to have interesting and fun conversations.
That sounds so awesome. I'm so excited for you. I'll definitely be keeping up. That's amazing.
Yeah. And then outside of that, just really diving more into video, I think is a big focus point. It's not, unobviously that like it's, videos becoming very, very, very popular. And so, really diving into the content development side and doing a lot more in that sort of space is, those are two top areas outside of the normal biz stuff.
That's awesome. Now, where can people get in touch with you to get more information or to connect with you?
Yeah. So I'm on social. My alias is The Data Outlier. So you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Those are the main channels. And then LinkedIn.
Awesome. Well, we've been speaking with Megan Ingram. Thank you so much for your time, Megan. This has been great.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to be here.